Heat pump water heaters can save customers a lot of money, reduce greenhouse gases, and provide plenty of hot water. So come check out how to properly install a heat pump water heater and see how they work. Now with the heat pump water heater, heat from the air is transferred into the refrigerant, and that is used to heat the hot water. The compressor will pump that heated refrigerant to the coils, and that heat will transfer from the coils to the water, making that water nice and hot for your customer. Now the heat pump water heater will discharge an air that's typically about 2 to 5 degrees cooler than the air in that space. And now the customer will have hot water ready to go whenever they need it. Now in terms of performance, a heat pump water heater, 50-gallon water heater, is going to be the same performance as an electric 50-gallon water heater. But there are some differences. The first thing to know is that it's going to be a lot heavier. The reason being, it does have a compressor and the coil on the water heater, so that makes it a lot heavier than a traditional water heater. Also, because it does have the compressor, you want to make sure that you keep this upright. In fact, a lot of heat pump water heaters come with a smartphone app, and that will have something like a vacation mode. So if the homeowner is out of town, the heat pump water heater will have some awesome settings for the customer to save even more money. With proper sizing and installation, a heat pump water heater is ideal for replacing an existing gas or electric water heater. However, it's not going to be just a like for like swap. So let's make sure that you install the heat pump water heater properly, and here's some things to keep in mind when installing a heat pump water heater. Now the tools needed are typically going to be the same. For connection points, you see them here at the top. Sometimes you may have an option for those connection points to be at the side. And if you're using PEX, be sure to have the metal hoses coming off the top of the tank for the first 18 inches. And like an air conditioner, a heat pump water heater does dehumidify that space, so you will need to run a condensate line from the heat pump water heater outside or to a drain. Be sure to check the manufacturer specifications. In most cases, they want from 450 to 700 square feet of open air. That's typically an 8x8 space. So again, installing in a garage or a basement will be a great option. Now you want to make sure generally the temperature doesn't get below 37 degrees Fahrenheit, and there will be discharge air from the heat pump water heater that will be 2 to 5 degrees cooler. So be sure there's not a thermostat in that area. Now noise can be different from a traditional electric water heater to a heat pump water heater. Most heat pump water heaters will make the noise of about like a refrigerator. So you want to be sure that they're not installed in an area maybe close to a bedroom or office where noise sensitivity could be an issue. You can also use some sound dampening insulation or install the heat pump water heater on a sound dampening base if you need to help with that, but generally the noise is not an issue. And now the biggest difference is energy efficiency. Heat pump water heaters use less than 75% annually than traditional electric water heaters. So be sure to check the details with your local plumber make sure it's installed properly to the manufacturer's specifications so your homeowner can enjoy all the benefits and energy savings of a heat pump water heater. Now, heat pump water heaters are very similar to electric water heaters in a lot of different points. However, there are some key differences. One similarity is that they do use 240 that will be ran to the heat pump water heater. Now, in this case, we're going from a gas tank water heater to the heat pump water heater. So we will be putting in a 30 amp breaker and running that high voltage from the panel box to the heat pump water heater. Another similarity in terms of a traditional water heater is that you will have an expansion tank. However, keep in mind with a heat pump water heater, they do dehumidify the air, so you will need to run a condensate line off the heat pump water heater.
So I started looking for my water heater when my insurance company told me that they're not going to renew my policy unless I change my water heater because it's 18 years old, and I don't know how old they cover, but they decided that they're going to, if I don't renew, get a new one, they're not going to renew it. So I started searching, and I was getting HVAC from PV, so I decided to call them back to get some options. And since I like to get more efficient with my systems, I was thinking about going for like tankless. Maybe it's smaller, and then it's maybe cheaper in the end. I'll get my investment back. And I started with talking to PV guys, and they recommended different options. Of course, like a tankless too, but there's another option called hybrid water heater, and it really resonated with me because I think just based on how much I use, how much hot water I use, and just a federal rebate of $2,000, and I think in the end, the hybrid option really made sense for me. So I decided to go with that. So in addition to the federal tax credit, I found out that the power company, the Georgia Power, is also giving $500 rebate. So combination with the federal tax credit and the local tax credit, this option really made sense for me.